Up next, we have Mr. SammyBauch showing off Def Governance and WRASSLERS. I'm loving this 2-for-1 special from everybody today.
Yeah, thank you for putting up with that. I figured I'd sort of show a cool thing that you'd all be interested in, and then sort of shill my NFT project.
Yes.
So I mean, look, like I actually like demoed this tooling previously. Back then, I think I just demoed it was like a stupid contract where you could like count an NFT that you owned. But I've been working on this idea for a long time of like, how can you build, particularly for me, like games on chain on like a layer 2 that like use NFTs from mainnet, say, right? And so going through that all, I built bridging, right? We bridged crypto orchids to Polygon. And it was just such a bad experience for me as a developer, but then also for the user. There was like, there's got to be a better way. Like, it makes no sense to bridge these things all over the place to like use them in a game or whatever, right? So we sort of developed this tooling, all open source based on Ethereum standards, right? EIPs, and feel like we have a really good solution at this point, and want to start to deploy it to more chains. So I saw the Canto was having a hackathon, so I was like, great, like that's a really good opportunity. Like, I'll jump in there, I'll deploy our tooling there, and then I'll see about, maybe I'll come up with an idea for some simple like demo, like implementation to show sort of the power of this tooling. And so it was just really good timing with Def memberships, right? And the membership NFTs and the excellent website that Sam and maybe Jamie, I don't know who else worked on that, but it was like perfect, right? So it's like just the best opportunity to like deploy our infrastructure to another chain, pull our SDKs into a client app, like somebody else's, right? Like not one that I had built with like the tooling that I know, and build a little demo of this tooling in order to hopefully win some money from Canto, but also like just keep pushing on the edges of this stuff, right? So what I ended up doing was I built like a governance contract that's based on just like Open Zeppelin Defender stuff, and pulled that into the Def memberships app, right? And so I later then added a couple of things to sort of show off some more features, right? But here is this proposals section, right, that I added. This is just pulling proposals from the Canto network live. I'm connected to Ethereum mainnet, right? It's just reading. They had some downtime today, so I submitted this just to check if things were working, right? And so I'm just gonna go ahead and like vote for this. And so like we're using meta transactions here, but what's I think pretty cool is that we're specifying like I want to use this NFT like in this transaction, right? So I hold the Def membership token number 78, and this is the address. So I'm going to sign this meta transaction that ultimately allows me to vote on this proposal based on the fact that like I do in fact own this NFT on Ethereum mainnet, with the execution of the vote happening on Canto, right? And so that's pretty cool. Like I was pretty excited that this all just sort of worked and was able to deploy to a new chain, and things were great. It's a little bit weird. This will come back in a second, but and then this takes a very long time to come back for some reason, right? But the next thing that I sort of did, right? So some of the feedback we've gotten from people is that they're really scared to sign these messages, and I get it. We had always supported a notion of like account abstraction or delegation, and when Delegate Cash started catching on, I know there's some folks in the community that are working on competing things, which like I'd love to support. But what the protocol, right, the global entry, right, in our forwarding contract supports that level of delegation. So I just added this silly little, to tell you that you are right now like in your Vault wallet. So let me just maybe go back to proposals here. And so that vote did come back now, right? So weird. So okay, so I'm connected to this address, right? If I switch to a hot wallet that I've delegated using delegate cash to, right? This has no assets, no gas tokens, no anything. I'm still able to participate in this all, right? And so what was super cool was like Sam like built this app so nicely where it was like it was so easy to add like a new hook, use delegated account, and just everywhere that gets used, like checking if you're a member, right? Calling the subgraph, right? Instead of using the current wallet connected account, we use the vault, right? So it's like I'm connected with a burner or a hot wallet, but everything throughout this app like recognizes like what my actual identity is, right? So getting the ENS name, right? We just sort of show you that, hey, you know, you're using a hot wallet that's got delegation, right? And so, you know, I mean, that's going to go ahead and work. And so what you sort of see here in the message payload is that we're signing this with the hot, right? But I'm authorizing it from like my primary, the SammyBauch.eth, and that's just the MetaMask label, right? And so that's what sort of allows us all to go through and create this proposal on the basis of me, you know, owning a Def token, even though I'm now signing this from an empty wallet, right? And so, you know, people getting hacked with these signature things, like it was really fun to be able to simply add like this notion very simply. So I haven't heard from Canto yet about whether I won any money. I'm happy to see that the price is up. I'm hoping we get some funds from them. But this was really great. It was a really, you know, doing this for the hackathon yielded some improvements to SDK and stuff like that. And was just a really great opportunity to dog food the tooling like in another DApp, right? So so thank you guys, Sam and whoever else worked on this for open sourcing and building such a nice app and doing all the work that you did that allowed me to sort of mess around like this. I can stop there and take questions. We can talk about this. If anybody wants to sort of jam on that stuff, I can also just jump into the WRASSLERS things. So this came back now, right?
This this is awesome. There's no well, Seth asked a question about if you meant opens up on governor versus defender.
Oh, did I say defender? Yeah, I mean, I meant governor. The contracts based on Open Zeppelin governor contracts. I use defender typically as like our meta transaction relayer. But they don't support Canto, right? So I had to just spin up. I added just like an API route to this next app that acts as the relayer, which is like super insecure, and like my private keys, you know, for the relayer, like in the environment, and like whatever, it's hackathon, right?
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. I see no other questions on for your first of two demos. Cool. So please commence with shilling.
Yeah. Okay. So now the shilling. So we've been building WRASSLERS for a long time. We launched like an on-chain game over a year ago. You know, trying to work through these things like how do you build on-chain games with layer 1 NFTs. Been working with an artist and a writer and GPT-3 to build this great collection. We had a lot of fun building this website. It'll melt your face and probably your computer also. But we've been having a lot of fun with it. And the thing I wanted to sort of show you today is our auctions. And so I just think this is a really cool mechanism and would love to see it used on more like primary drops, especially like with questionable like royalties going forward, right? It's like, I think this is a really neat way to get price discovery on a drop and like the project pull in some of that revenue while still like rewarding or incentivizing like flippers, right? So they're called bid to earn auctions. We worked with a company called GBM Auction to do this. So we licensed the contracts from them, but like built out the front end, right? So the idea is that when you place a bid, you're going to be told how much you'll earn when somebody outbids you, right? So your earnings is like a function of how much you outbid the previous bid by. So if I go up to 0.02 WETH, I'm getting 3.5% here. So like I want to get the maximum. I want that 10%, right? And so, this is the top bidder right now who's going to get paid when I submit this. And I just think it's really well done. I think there's like some really, oh crap, it's not actually please. There's the bug. I had the bug.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Finally.
This is making me mad. Well, all right. I fucking broke it entirely, apparently. Let me switch to my primary.
Hell yeah.
So apparently you can't place bids anymore. So no wonder nobody's buying these things.
Well, people are really enjoying the art. Both me and Snuts, who actually has taste, so that counts
Nice.
for a
Yeah,
lot.
so thank you.
And then,
Frolic bid earlier, you'll see here. So Frolic did earn a little bit of WETH for his troubles. But yeah, it's great. And I think like what I really like about this is that the contract is written such that when I bid, it transfers like the incentive to the previous high bidder in that transaction. So if you're like tracking your wallet on anything on your phone, right, you're getting notifications that you got outbid essentially. And so that's like a nice sort of approach rather than doing like a claim, it's like, oh, claim your earnings. It's like, so, we tell you how much you've earned so far and what your status is and that sort of stuff. And I'm going to have to figure out this bug. But yeah, that's WRASSLERS. I guess really quick, I'll show you we're doing. So we've got packs now. Some of you should claim your airdrop. And then we're launching pack ripping next week. So you can go ahead and rip one of these packs. And this is a cross-chain thing where the packs are on Polygon. But we're gonna transfer you WRASSLERS on Ethereum mainnet, right? So on a gas-free transaction, you're not paying anything for the transfer. We're just running some infrastructure that's listening for events and just trying to make that a really nice experience. So these are all randomized with Chainlink VRF and yeah.
this is awesome.
That's the demo. Any questions about any of this stuff? I'd be happy.
The chat is enjoying it thoroughly. We appreciate you having a bug.
Yeah.
Varley wants more pack rips.
Yeah.
I had a question about licensing a contract.
Yeah.
Talk to me about licensing a contract.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. So they charge us like a percentage of all of our final price auction income. It's like 2% or something. And when we signed the deal with them, they opened up a GitHub repo, invited us in that had their contracts. We did. I mean, we ended up like, they were like, look, this is like the base contract. Like most people end up editing it quite a bit. So you can see there in my wall now. And so I think I might do like another iteration where we allow users to kick these things off, right? So it's like more like the Zora approach of like, oh, opening bid kicks off an auction. I first saw this on Avagachi and they open sourced their subgraph for GBMs. Like that was great, just to be able to fork that and have a nice subgraph. But yeah.
So with the licensing, was it like a contract that was verified that you saw, but rather than the usual approach of just copy pasting somebody else's contract and like, did they have like a comment in the top that's like, just so you know, this is copyrighted and you need to license this if you want to do more?
Yeah. I mean, the mark at the top is unlicensed, right? So we did verify, the version that we deployed and presumably someone could just go and steal it and not give a shit about the license and like whatever. Then we get into, the legal system, right? But
right.
I just was happy. I mean, like I was happy to support a team doing cool stuff. And then also like,
totally.
I'm not a maths guy. So it's like, I can't like, I need to actually have the help from this team to like do our parameters. Cause like, I don't understand how this is going to work. And like, how do the incentives work to a point where you guarantee that I'm not going to end up losing money on this, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's actually one of the, I mean, I think it's awesome that you licensed it. I wish more people would do that. And it would be so cool that it's like, hey, yes, you can totally copy this contract, but would you like the test suite that goes with this and support? You
Mhm.
know, like to be sure that it actually works. Like I see verified like when I've reused verified contracts, sometimes I write my own test suite for it just so I can be
Right,
sure that it actually works as I
right.
expect. Um, so that's a cool model. I haven't heard of that before, so I think it's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I would be happy to introduce folks to them and share whatever we learned on the front end on that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think it's a really cool mechanism and would like to see more people use it. So that's why I figured I
It's
would share
awesome.
that out.
I know you've done a lot with Chainlink, and Frolic asks, how was your latest working with Chainlink VRF?
I've never, so like they released a bunch of new stuff that I'm just like, this is not, doesn't provide as much benefit as like it takes to actually understand, right? Like it's great, like I don't know, just like different ways to pay for it, and like it's just like not worth getting into for me. Um, it's ludicrously cheap on Polygon, like it's free
Mm-hmm.
basically, right? And so that's sort of I think what we wanted to do is like put reveal in people's hands and like make it like cryptographically provably random, and by doing it on Polygon and sort of just running some off-chain infrastructure to do the layer one transfer, I think was the best solution we came up with for this.
Love it. Thank you. I have one last question from Welp.
Sure.
Who is your favorite wrestler?
Oh man, I met Hulk Hogan when I was a kid, so that's got to be. I know it's a little bit weird, like I don't know, but yeah, that's got to be me. But
Nailed
I'm
it.
not a huge wrestling guy. Like we have people on the team that are very into it, but it just fit so much of what we wanted to do with the project that we decided to do wrestling.
It's awesome. Kudos. Any last
Thanks,
questions?
thanks
We got
everyone.
60 seconds left for this fine double demo. Sammy, you're off the hook. Thanks for showing that off, and love to
Thanks
try out the
everybody.
governance
Appreciate
thing
it.
too. If you haven't submitted that PR or anything yet, that'd be awesome. And I hope you win the hackathon.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Oh, if you need a vote cabal, you know who to talk to.